Hello, and welcome to DBT. And today we are going to start emotion regulation. Last week we finished up with distress tolerance. And between modules, so like I said, we finished up distress tolerance. If you're taking a class, you would go through mindfulness. Well, since I've already done the mindfulness classes on this YouTube channel, I didn't want to repeat doing the classes again. So please take time to go to the mindfulness seminars. The first one is learning the 3 states of mind: emotional, rational, and wise mind. And the second week of mindfulness is the what and how skills. And what you do to be mindful: observe, describe, and participate. And how to be mindful: one mindfully, non-judgmentally, and effectively. So make sure you go over those classes again to get yourself into the groove of what mindfulness is, because mindfulness is such a big part of DBT, and it helps to ground and makes learning these skills easier. So, like I said, make sure you go and review the mindfulness. If you guys want help with the mindfulness skills, give me a call, 241-1411. Glad to talk DBT with you. And so that's just where we are. But in the to move forward, in the essence of bringing this forward, we're going to start with emotion regulation. So the links to the documents we are using today are posted in the chat, in the live chat. And I think I did it right. My first class, my link was incorrect, so I had to redo that. But I redid it, so it's fine. So we are on the page of goals of emotion regulation. So we are going to work on emotion regulation. What are the goals of emotion regulation? The goals of an emotion regulation are to understand and name your own emotions. Identify, observe, and describe your emotions. Know what emotions do for you. Once upon a time in my life, I knew the name of very few emotions. I knew angry, sad, happy, and probably maybe one more. But I knew I could identify very few emotions. A lot of times I would just know there was this energy going through me. I didn't know what the energy was. Like learning to name shame, guilt, frustration, grief, just the names of different emotions. I didn't really have a name for them. I just knew I was feeling something, and I was feeling it intensely. So to identify and describe your emotions is really important, and know what emotions do for you. We have emotions for a reason. They're responses to the environment around us. So the first goal is to understand and name your emotions. The second goal of emotion regulation is to decrease the frequency of unwanted emotions. Stop unwanted emotions from starting in the first place. Change your reaction. You're going how you respond to your environment. Prime example. Well, a 1-year-old spills their milk.
Yeah.
Well, you can choose to be angry. Mm-hmm. You can choose to be, oh, well, and clean it up and go. Mm-hmm. You can choose to ignore it and just let it be there. So, decrease the frequency of unwanted emotions. I want to decrease my anger. Okay, so my response doesn't necessarily have to be angry to the child who just spilled their milk. I just gave off 2 other things I can do. I can clean it and go on with that, and maybe tell the child hold with 2 hands. Do something about it. I am decreasing my frequency of the unwanted emotion of anger. I am choosing to do something else. So stop unwanted emotions from starting in the first place. I'm not going to be angry the next time somebody spills their milk. Change unwanted emotions once they start. Okay, so you might be angry that the milk spilled, but go ahead and clean it up and correct the behavior, hold with both hands, so decrease the frequency of unwanted emotions. Just because your go-to response is to get angry doesn't mean that it has to be that. You can change your response. And if you're trying to reduce your anger, well, decrease your response of being angry, or decrease your response of being fearful. For me, fear is the big thing. Trucks box me in on the highway, I don't have to respond in fear. I can respond in, more of a neutral state. This is okay. It's temporary. So decrease the frequency of unwanted emotions. Decrease emotional vulnerability. That's another goal of emotion regulation. And decrease vulnerability to emotion mind. Decrease your acting out of the emotion, like anger, throwing something, or screaming, or putting your fist at the wall. That's acting out of emotion mind. Or in fear, shutting down and hiding, or not dealing with the situation. So don't let your emotions rule you. So decrease emotional vulnerability. Increase your resiliency, your ability to cope with difficult things, and positive emotions. So, when you have that fear and you want to shut down, decrease the vulnerability of shutting down, and, 3 deep breaths. This is only temporary. And the last goal of emotion regulation is to decrease emotional suffering. Reduce suffering when painful emotions overcome you, and manage extreme emotions so that you don't make things worse. So emotional suffering is going to happen when you don't accept what's happening around you. So reduce your suffering when painful emotions overcome you. You were in a wreck, your car's damaged, and you're all freaked out. You can totally freak out about it just happened, or you can accept that, yes, this happened, and yeah, you're freaked out right now, but it doesn't mean it's going to have to stay. So when the painful emotion happens, don't let it manage you. And like, example, one time I was in a wreck, I got rear-ended, and I was so freaked out that the people who were trying to help me, I couldn't get out of my freaked out state. Are you okay? Blah, blah, blah. I never did. I was making things worse for me because I was making it more difficult for them to assist me. So, managing extreme emotions, can be harder said than done. But I eventually, they're like, breathe. I think I finally got told to breathe, and I did. And so I calmed down the emotion. I wasn't making it worse. I was attending to the moment. I was moving past the initial bang. When the people were talking to me, trying to calm me down, I was still caught up in that initial bang. So I needed to, the situation was already done. I needed to go on with the people. So yeah, to decrease emotional suffering. And when we don't, when we choose not to act on the emotion or accept the emotion, we're putting ourselves in suffering. So, to decrease emotional suffering, acknowledge the emotion, and start doing something about it. But if we're not accepting the emotion, we're denying it, we're creating our own suffering. So, accept the emotion. So decreasing emotional suffering is also part of the goals of emotion regulation. So those are the goals that we have of emotion regulation. Overview. What's the overview for emotion regulation for the next couple weeks? Well, we're going to learn what emotions do for you. There are reasons why we have emotions. We need them. They keep us alive. They keep, they allow us to respond to what's going on around us. They give us motivation. We see a child fall off their bike. We're into action. And get the band-aids, get the this, get the that. So our emotions give us urgency, give us direction, guidance. Factors that make regulating emotions hard. Sometimes we don't have the skills to regulate our emotions. Reinforcing consequences. For example, when the child's throwing a temper tantrum because they want the candy bar, and then we finally give in, well, we just reinforce their temper tantrum. Mm-hmm. So reinforcing consequences can make it hard to regulate emotions. We're not going to stop the child's temper tantrum by giving them the candy bar every time we're reinforcing the tantrum. If we're moody, moodiness can make it hard to regulate our emotions. Rumination or worrying about things can make it hard to regulate our emotions. If I'm worried about how my daughter's doing or what's going on, and let's say something happens around me, because I'm already worrying about something, I'm focused someplace else, I'm not going to be I'm going to be bringing that worry into my reaction, of what's going on with me. So ruminating and worrying about things can affect our reactions. Myths get in the way of how we regulate our emotions. We don't realize we've bought into some myths, so we have to break that. Part of what we're going to do, I think this week actually, is we're going to look at some emotional myths and see if we buy into them or if we need to adjust our ways of thinking. Our biology can interfere with the changing of emotions. Example, my biology, my body, when I get trapped in by trucks on a highway, I go into panic, I go into fear. That's just my reaction. Okay. I'm fighting that reaction. I'm doing 3 deep breaths, I'm doing positive self-talk, I'm fighting my biology to immediately feel fight or flight. So I can't say I'm hardwired to believe that, but that's how my body automatically responds. It's my biological response, fear. So I can break that fear. And then another thing we're going to go over in understanding and naming emotions is a model for describing emotions. So in the book, there's this model, and it shows how we go through an emotion from, our vulnerabilities. Are we hungry? Are we tired? Are we sleepy? To the actual event, how we interpret the event, and and so it goes through, and we can see how an emotion, what we actually go through, and how an emotion works in our minds and bodies. And then the last part of this overview that we'll be going over is ways to describe emotions. And learning to observe, describe, and name your emotion can help you regulate your emotions. Example, somebody might think they're not happy, but if you look in the emotions handout 6, which we'll be getting to next week, under the emotion happy, you'll find the word content. Okay. So being content is part of being happy. So just because, you're content doesn't mean you're not happy. You just might not be experiencing happy at its high. You know what I'm saying? So, ways to describe emotions. You think you're frustrated. You might not necessarily think you're angry, but frustration is a form of anger. You might not think that, let me look in my book. You might not think that when you're displeased that you're envious, or that jumpy. I'm a very jumpy person. It doesn't take anything to scare me. But I'm exhibiting fear. So being that jumpiness is fear. So a lot of things that we might not. Another word for happiness is delightful. You're delighted. Would you necessarily call it happy? I don't know, but yeah, delightful is a form of happiness. Relief is a form of happiness. Okay. So there's a lot of things to help you identify your emotions in this module. And emotion regulation is one of my favorite modules in DBT. So, and learning what emotions I'm experiencing is the biggest part of the thrill of this this module. So but yeah, there's ways to describe our emotions, and in learning to name your emotions can help you regulate your emotions. So if you sit there and say, I'm not a happy person, but if you're content, you are happy. So you're diminishing your happiness by not acknowledging your content. So let's go on to the next page. And what do our emotions do for us? What does an emotion do for us? Well, our emotions motivate and organize us for action. Emotions motivate our behavior. Emotions prepare us for action. The action urge of specific emotions is often hardwired into our biology. Emotions save time in getting us to act in important situations. Emotions can be especially important when we don't have time to think things through. Strong emotions help us overcome obstacles in our minds and in the environment. So our emotions motivate and organize us for action. And folks, I just got your battery is running low message on my computer, and I don't have my cord with me. It's in the other room. I will be right back with that. I don't want us to blank out. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. Oh my God. I don't have my Thank you. I did something right. All right. Okay, I'm back, folks. Sorry about that. Some days you're organized. Some days you're organized and you really are organized. Mm-hmm. Other days you just think you're organized. And you find out, no, I didn't plan for every day. We got power. Sorry about that, folks. So what emotions do for you? They motivate us and organize our actions. Emotions communicate to and influence others. Our facial expressions are hardwired aspects of our emotions. Facial expressions communicate faster than words. So, okay, I got my mask on my face right now, so you can't see my facial expressions per se. But if you could see my face, you would see what I was communicating with my words, and you would get the feeling even quicker because of what my facial expression is. Our body language and voice tone can also be hardwired. Like it or not, they also communicate our emotions to others. For example, somebody asks you to do something, and you be like, sure, I got it. Or you be like, sure, if you really want me to. So my tone, you heard two different tones there. Sure, I can do it. Yeah, versus sure, I'll do it. So our body language, our voice tone, it can be hardwired. Sometimes you can't take the sure, I'll do it out of your voice. Versus because you might want to respond, sure, I'll do it. And sometimes, well, you can and you can't. But like it or not, they also communicate our emotions to others. So, our body language and our tone communicate. When it is important to communicate to others or send them a message, it can be very hard to change our emotions. For example, like just right now, I went and I had to go get my plug, obviously. And I was walking to my office, and Brian's like, is there anything I can help you with? I'm like, nope. And he was just asking. He didn't, I could respond. He deserved calmness. He didn't deserve my freaked out reaction. Whether we intend it or not, our communication of emotions influences others. So hopefully my hyper didn't make him feel jittery or, I just forgot my plug. It was no big deal. Did it give me anxiety? Yeah. But does anxiety match that fact? No. I just forgot a plug, so it's okay. So emotions communicate and influence others. Emotions communicate to ourselves. So emotional reactions can give us important information about a situation. Emotions can be signals or alarms that something is happening. Like I said, we watch somebody fall down off their bike. The emotion tells us something's happening. We go into action. Gut feelings can be like intuition, a response to something important about the situation. This can be helpful if our emotions get us to check out the facts. Check the facts. Do your emotions fit the facts? I'll give you an example of when the emotions don't fit the facts. We'll go back once again to the trucks boxing me in on the highway. I'm going to die. I'm freaking out. Well, does that panic and fear fit the facts? No. I got a truck on the left and a truck on the right of me. It's that simple. Am I going to die? No. So the emotions don't fit the facts. Am I okay to feel uncomfortable? Sure, I can make anybody feel uncomfortable. But to ramp it up to I'm going to die fear, no. So that's when emotions don't fit the facts. So emotional reactions can give us important information about the situation. I was on the gut feelings can be like our intuition, but our gut feelings, you got to check that against the facts. I'm not going to die because I'm boxing my trucks. I'm just uncomfortable. Check the facts. Caution. Sometimes we treat our emotions as if they are facts about the world. The stronger the emotion, the stronger our belief in that emotion is based on fact. Example. If I feel unsure, I am incompetent. If I get lonely when left alone, I shouldn't be left alone. Or if I feel confident about something, it is right. If I'm afraid, there must be danger. I love him, so he must be okay. Example of fact, like my fear would be the fact. I'm afraid, so there must be danger. I think I'm going to die, so there must be no. There's no danger. There's just trucks on either side of me. So let me write on the board something that I believe very, very strongly in. Our emotion does not equal facts.
Okay.
Our emotion never equals the facts. Our emotion is a result of the facts. Our emotion is a result. So the emotion itself is never the fact. But our emotion is a result of the facts. So, does your emotion fit the facts? Your emotion isn't the fact, does your emotion fit those facts? Our emotion is a result of the facts. So that's something very important about emotion regulation. When we have a strong emotion, like I said, the fear, and I'm going to die, that fear isn't the fact. The facts are I'm boxed in by trucks, and that's it. That's the fact. My response is fear, and it's too strong of a fear. So if we assume that our emotions represent facts about the world, we may use them to justify our thoughts or our actions. This can be trouble if our emotions get us to ignore the facts. Okay, so once again, our emotions are not facts. Our emotion is a result of the facts. So, our emotions communicate to ourselves. Our emotions are our reactions to ourselves, but, our reaction isn't the facts. The fact is the who, what, when, and where of a situation. Let's go. The emotion, fear. We'll go back to the trucks box me in. The emotion, fear. Fact, I'm on the highway. Fact, I'm traveling 65 miles an hour. Fact, I'm boxed in by trucks. Those are the facts. Is it uncomfortable? Yeah. Does the emotion of fear, oh my God, I'm going to die, match those facts? No. So I need to adjust my fear to being I'm uncomfortable. So does your emotion fit the facts? Now, my emotion of, oh my God, I'm going to die is a valid emotion. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's not, it's invalid. That's my valid emotion, but it doesn't fit the facts. So then I got to adjust accordingly. So it's not that my emotion is in and of itself is wrong, because every emotion is valid, but doesn't fit the facts.
Okay.
So what emotions do for us? Let's go over that again. They motivate us for action. We see somebody spill milk. We see somebody fall off their bike. We open a door for somebody. Emotions motivate us for action. Emotions communicate and influence others. Our body language, our tone of voice, they influence the people around us. If we're responding in fear, somebody else might get fearful or anger, or, so how we respond is going to affect other people around us. And our emotions communicate to ourselves. And, when we're communicating to ourselves, like I said, if fear jumps out at me, I got to check the facts. Is my fear appropriate to the facts? Am I communicating properly to myself?
Okay.
So our emotions communicate to us. So that's what our emotions do for us. Any comments, Jackie, or questions?
No.
No? Okay. Anybody out there have any comments or questions for me? Okay, we'll turn the page and we'll talk about what makes it hard to regulate our emotions. And we got quite a few things that make it hard to regulate our emotions. Biological factors can make emotion regulation harder. Some people are just more sensitive. Some people feel deeper, or somebody will tell you to get over it, and you need another 5 to 10 minutes to get over it. You can't just let go of sadness, anger, or frustration as quick as somebody else. That's kind of a biological thing. Give me my extra 5 minutes to deal with it. I'm getting over it, just not over it as fast as you are. So biological factors, how we are biologically, can make emotion regulation harder. Lack of skill. You don't know what to do to regulate your emotions. When something out of the blue hits you, what do you do? Can you even reach your emotions? So, like, for example, when I found out he was having his stroke, total freak out. What was I supposed to do? Who was I supposed to call? Blah. I mean, just my next action. What was I supposed to do? The emotion was so high. What to do? What was hard to grasp? What well, I didn't necessarily go to my 3 deep breaths right away as my automatic, because the emotion was just high. Not that I don't have skills, but and it wasn't necessarily that I had lack of skills to deal with it. But some people don't have lack of skills. Some people don't have the skills to know what to do with the emotion is that high. So if you never dealt with an emotion that high, you might not have the skill to deal with it. What makes it hard to regulate your emotions? A reinforcement of emotional behavior. Your environment reinforces you when you're highly emotional. Now, this is like we were talking about the child who threw the temper tantrum and got the candy bar. Or this is going to sound silly. I had a cat who believed if she meowed at the fireplace would turn on. That's because my fireplace is remote control. So she would meow at the fireplace, and I would turn it on because she meowed at the fireplace. Then I turn it off. She'd meow again. I turn it on. So she believed that she could turn on the fireplace. I reinforced that behavior. Was it correct? No, because at night, then she would meow at the fireplace, wake my daughter up, who was trying to sleep, because this cat believed she had the power to turn on the fireplace. But so reinforcement of emotional behaviors. If we reinforce the wrong behavior, we're not discouraging an improper behavior. So moodiness. Your current mood controls what you do instead of your wise mind. You don't really want to put the time and effort to regulate your emotions. Moodiness. You're hungry and you're tired, and you let that interfere or affect how you respond to somebody. Okay, let's go back to the kid who just spilled their milk. Most of the time, I'm going to be like, okay, and hold with both hands. I'll clean it up, or tired and grouchy, and I just snap. What the heck are you doing? Okay, my moodiness just interfered. I let the hunger, not being tired, control, instead of listening to my wise mind of you need to hold with both hands. And so moodiness can affect our emotion regulation. Or you don't really want to put the time and effort to regulate your emotions. We were talking about the request we got. We're like, sure, I can do it, or sure, I'll do it. We didn't put the effort into the coming off as upbeat. So our moodiness can affect our emotions. Emotional overload. High emotional arousal causes you to reach skills breakdown point. You can't follow skills instructions or figure out what to do. And when you do hit emotional overload, what do you do? My breaking point, my emotional overload on a scale of 0 to 100 for me is around in the 80 area. and that's when my skills aren't necessarily, the 3 deep breaths don't feel like they're working for me, or 3 deep breaths aren't working, and I just got to keep doing it because I know I'm doing the right thing. But sometimes our emotion can be too high that it's hard to grab our skills or know what skills to go to. And when we do have emotional overload, the thing to remember is not to make the situation worse.
Okay.
And by not making the situation worse while we're in emotional overload, hopefully we can take those 3 deep breaths and it will kick in. So when you're in emotional overload, doing your part to not make the situation worse is going to be helpful to yourself. And then the last thing that makes our emotions hard to regulate is emotion myths. These are mistaken beliefs about emotions that get in the way of your ability to regulate your emotions. Myths that emotions are bad or weak lead to avoiding emotions. Myths that extreme emotions are necessary, a part of who you are, keep you from trying to regulate your emotions. If you just believe that, okay, let's go back to the highway and getting blocked in by the trucks. I'm going to die. And I quit driving on the highway. I quit, I let that extreme emotion, that's a necessary, and I bought into it as control, as part of my life. I just can't go on the highway. The extreme emotion I didn't verify the fact. So an emotion isn't the fact. That's the important thing to remember, to break that myth. And and the facts are the who, what, when, and where. But those are the things that make it hard for you to regulate our emotions. And it, as you can see, there's quite a few. There's 6 things there that can make it hard for us to regulate our emotions. So if we have a hard time regulating our emotions, there's a lot of reasons why. And don't beat yourself up. Just take it easy. So the next page, if we go to the next page, handout 4A, we have myths about emotions. And we're going to go, and there's 20 of them in here, and we won't get to all 20 today, but we'll go through them and see what myths we buy into, or how to correct myths that we do buy into them. So let's start with the first one. There's a right way to feel in every situation.
Okay.
Do you believe that, Miss Jackie?
No.
Yeah, because everybody can have a different reaction to the same situation. And everybody's response is valid. It's what they do with that response, with that emotion, that has consequences. So not everybody's going to feel the same way in a situation. So that's the challenge to that myth. Letting others know that I'm feeling bad is a weakness.
Yeah.
You think that's true?
Yes.
It is a myth. Letting others know we're feeling bad, if we're sad, if we're scared, if we feel helpless or hopeless, we're sharing a vulnerability. we're sharing a weakness. And sharing a weakness takes a lot of strength. So to go up to your friend and say, I'm having a really hard time today, is not a weakness. You're not necessarily complaining. You're sharing something that's vulnerable. So it's not a weakness to share that you're feeling bad. In fact, you're showing that you're human.
Okay.
Because we're not happy 100% of the time.
No.
We're not joyous 100% of the time. Sometimes we are sad.
Yeah.
Sometimes we are afraid. Okay, so imagine there's a bad storm. Now, some people handle that kind of crisis real well. They feel comfortable being the one saying, okay, we need to go down in the basement and, but I'll let you know, it frightens me. I've been through tornadoes and I've seen what a tornado can do. So I'm scared. So when I'm sharing with you that how the weather is right now is scaring me, I'm not being weak. And I don't need to feel bad that I shared that with you. That's just my that's just how the situation makes me feel. So letting others know that I'm feeling bad is weakness. No, it's not a weakness. I'll let you know that during severe storms, I'm really scared.
Okay.
I'm sharing with you my vulnerability.
Okay.
I'm sharing with you. So the challenge to that one would be letting others know that I'm feeling bad shows I know my strengths and weaknesses. And knowing your strengths and weaknesses is knowing about yourself.
Okay.
Because we are both our strengths and our weaknesses. Negative feelings are bad and destructive.
I don't know.
Okay, you don't know. Negative feelings aren't necessarily bad and destructive, like anger. Okay, if something makes me angry, what is unfair about the situation? If something makes me angry, what is the unequalness in this situation? What needs to be? So the anger isn't bad or destructive. I might need to see what makes the situation fair.
Okay.
Or what makes the situation, what's the compromise? So the anger isn't bad. The spite isn't bad. It tells you that something's unfair, that something needs to be adjusted, that something has crossed your boundary. So it's not that the feeling's bad or destructive. Now, what you do with that emotion can be bad or destructive.
Okay.
But the feeling itself isn't bad or destructive. Being emotional means being out of control.
Yeah.
And how you think being emotional means you're being out of control?
Yeah.
No, you can be emotional and still be in control. What emotion are you thinking of? Anger?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So being highly angry doesn't mean you're out of control. Now you can do things with the anger that are out of control. The allowing the screaming, the throwing, that's giving into the emotion. But because you have that anger doesn't mean you're out of control. It's what you do with it. So you might have high anger, but you choose to change the situation, compromise, what is going to make it feel fair, it's what you do with that emotion. You don't want the emotion to control you. You want to control the emotion. Being emotional does not mean being out of control. You want to be in control of the emotion. Am I choosing this, or is the anger choosing this? Am I choosing this, or is the depression choosing this? And if I am choosing this, I am in control. If the emotion is choosing it, you're letting the emotion be in control, and that's not going to be the correct choice. Sometimes emotions are stupid. No, emotions aren't stupid. Our emotions are a result of the facts. An emotion is always valid. It's what we do with that emotion that has consequences. So the emotion itself is valid. Labeling it stupid is a judgment. Labeling it bad is a judgment. Labeling it good is a judgment. The emotion is, it's what we do with that emotion that has the consequences. So no, emotions aren't stupid. Emotions are what drive us to act, drive us to do things. All emotions are a result of all painful emotions are a result of a bad attitude. No, and they're not. No. Just because we're, a painful emotion is experiencing a loss, losing something, experiencing a loss. It's not because of a bad attitude. We didn't lose something because of a bad attitude. So, so a painful emotion isn't a result of a bad attitude. A painful emotion is a result of a loss. A painful emotion is a result of circumstances being out of our control, and we couldn't make the best occur. If others don't approve of my feelings, I obviously shouldn't feel the way I do. No, and it's right, and that's true. Others aren't going to. You're driving with me in a car, and let's say I get boxed in, and I'm having a panic attack. You're like, Mary, you're not going to die. you're not approving my feelings. I obviously should, but that's not going to change the way I feel. The panic is still going to be there.
Yeah.
So, I don't. My panic isn't based on your approval. My response to something isn't based on your approval. That's just how, like we were saying, we're hardwired, or, our beliefs and values. So, other people are the best judges of how I am feeling. No. Only we can know what we're feeling. Other people aren't mind readers. They can't know what our response is. The only way they're going to know what our actual response is if we share it with them. People aren't mind readers. Painful emotions are not important and should be ignored.
No.
You're right. No, painful emotions need to be addressed as well. By not addressing an emotion, by suppressing emotion, we are causing suffering. So you want to acknowledge your emotions. By acknowledging our emotions, we can move forward. We can work for change. If others don't approve of my feelings, I obviously, did we just do that one? Yeah, we did. I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong one. Extreme emotions get you a lot further than trying to regulate your emotions. No. and they don't. My extreme anger might want me to put my hand through my guitar case, and it might have that instant gratification. But trying to regulate that anger, trying to do something, the long-term payoff is the reward. The long-term payoff is going to give the personal growth. Buying into your emotional mind, you might have that immediate release, you might have that, but that's a very short-term payoff, and it doesn't give you the growth. It doesn't put you in control of yourself. Once again, you're letting the emotion control you, and letting the emotion control you isn't you being responsible for yourself. Let's see here. Creativity requires intense, often out of control emotions. No, creativity can be intense. When you're like in band practice, I remember when we were creating a song, it'd be so intense when we were doing it all together, but we didn't need that. It didn't need to be out that kind of intense emotions for songwriting. I'm crocheting right now. I'm being creative. There's no intense emotion behind it. Just the satisfaction of the emotion of being creative. So creativity doesn't require intensity. It can happen. Creativity can be intense, but it's not a have to. Drama is cool.
No.
Drama is not cool.
No.
Now, drama on the stage, watching a good play, yes. But drama, just for drama's sake, no. No. It's best to be your real self. Represent who you truly are. It is inauthentic to try and change my emotions. And to that, I say, no, it's very authentic to try to change your emotions. Like we were talking about how we got the child who spilled their drink. No, we don't want to respond with the anger. So it's very authentic to want to change my anger to something much more productive. It's much more authentic to want to change my fear of, oh my God, I'm going to die, into a productive, I'm just driving on the highway kind of thing. So it's very authentic to try and change our emotions. Changing your emotion is not an easy thing to do. It requires, you have to, one, identify it's an emotion you don't want, and then you have to identify the response you want to give. So it's very authentic to try and change your response, your emotion. Emotional truth is what counts, not the factual truth. No is right, because the emotional truth is not the facts. Like we said, emotion is not the facts. Our emotion is valid. What we are feeling is valid. But we can't confuse that with being the facts. So people should do whatever they feel like doing. No, people have to be held accountable to what they do. Yeah, you might feel like putting your hand through the wall, but it doesn't mean you should put your hand through the wall. You might want to crawl underneath the table because you're mortified of the mistake you made, but that doesn't mean you actually go underneath the table. No, you don't do whatever you feel like you're doing. You do what you need to do. Acting on your emotions is the mark of a truly free individual. And no, because if I act on my anger to that 1-year-old who just spilled their milk, no, acting on that anger doesn't make me a free individual. Acting on my fear because I got boxed in on the highway doesn't make me a free individual. Matter of fact, it makes me a closed-in, chained individual because I'm giving power to the fear. So no, I'm not truly free if I'm giving into the emotion. My emotions are who I am.
No.
Correct. Your emotions aren't who you are. Your reactions, are based on your experiences, on your past experiences and such. But your emotions are not you. You are not anger.
Yes.
I am not fear. I can be fearful. I can be very fearful. But I am not, fear is not me. I am Mary. So we are not our emotions. My emotions are why people love me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and no. I think my emotions. I hope people the way I react to a situation is going. You're going to either like or dislike how I react to a situation, but my emotion isn't why you love me. You're gonna love me even if I'm fearful and think I'm gonna die. You're gonna love me even if I snapped at the 1-year-old who spilt their milk. So my reactions to things, you're gonna love me, hopefully, for the good, bad, the whole package, not just for my honesty, for my values, for my integrities, not just for my reactions to the environment. So I want you to love is based on more than our emotions. Emotions can just happen for no reason.
No.
Technically, the answer is no. Sometimes it can seem that way because my panic can be triggered, and I sometimes don't know why it's triggered, but something triggered it.
Yes.
And I gotta be truthful with myself and say something triggered it.
Yes.
Or the frustration. Why am I feeling frustrated? I might not realize what the exact trigger was, but something frustrated me, and I got to say that there was a reason behind it. Example: I was going to bed, and I was frustrated when I went to bed, and it made no sense. I had a good day, and I had a good interaction with my coworkers. It was a good day at work, and then it hit me. I was frustrated because I'd watched too much news, and the news was getting me down. That frustrated me. So that's what it was about. Sometimes you gotta look and see why you're experiencing the emotion. If you're sitting with something that doesn't make sense, like all of a sudden I'm frustrated, I don't know why, take time to sit with that frustration and see why you're frustrated with it. So there was a reason for my frustration. It was because I trolled too much news. Emotions should always be trusted.
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think so.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to trust my fear, thinking, oh my God, I'm going to die because the truck's got me boxed in.
Oh no.
No, because the emotion doesn't fit the fact. Because sometimes our emotions doesn't fit the facts. Like I said, when I'm boxed in by those trucks, oh my God, I'm going to die. That fear, that fear is not to be trusted because that fear has no real validity behind it.
Yes.
So our emotions shouldn't always be trusted because sometimes our emotion doesn't fit the facts. And that can be said with anger. It can be said, or, let's say I'm angry that the 1-year-old spilt their milk again. I'm angry. Now, does the intent, there's a little bit of frustration. I'm not saying there's not, but I shouldn't be so angry that I feel like putting my fist through the guitar case, So does the intensity of the emotion fit the facts? If the intensity doesn't fit the facts, then the emotion shouldn't be trusted. If the emotion doesn't like I said, the oh my God, I'm going to die fear doesn't match the fact that I got trucks on either side of me. So our emotions shouldn't always be trusted. Do our emotions fit the facts? We like to believe they do, but if we examine them, do they? So those are the myths about emotions that we have, and we'll end it there. And the last page that we have on our handout is figuring out what my emotions are doing for me. And if you go through and you pick an emotion and you see what caused it, how did it make you feel, and kind of what we just talked about. What did your emotion do for you? So my challenge to you all is to do the worksheet to see what the emotion did for you. And I will see you next week, and we will talk more about emotions. And look forward to seeing you all here. Thank you.